The drop in the FAME 2 subsidy has hit EV buyers pretty hard, and different EV makers have taken different approaches to remedy this by making their offerings more affordable. Ola, and for that they have built this, the brand new S1 Air. Yes, it does look like the S1 or the S1 Pro, but underneath it's a whole new scooter which has a lot of changes to make things more affordable. So what are these changes and how do they affect the way it rides? One of the most obvious changes on the S1 Air can be seen up at the front here. Gone is the single-sided suspension found on the S1 Pro. Instead, the S1 Air gets a conventional telescopic fork, and of course it's running on steel wheels, not alloys, and it's got drum brakes at both ends with CBS.
The drum brakes on the S1 Air feel pretty okay for the most part. But as is the case with all drum brakes, brake hard a few times and you immediately get some fade. Now this would have been fine if the S1 Air's price was Rs 80,000 like Ola had promised originally. But at Rs 1,10,000 ex-showroom, we should have got at least a disc brake at the front.
Even back here, the changes are very obvious. Gone is the monoshock, instead you get twin shock at the back, and instead of the cast aluminum swing arm, it's got a box section steel swing arm.
On the butter smooth roads outside the Ola Future Factory, we really couldn't test how the S1 Air rides with this new setup. But what we did observe was the front rebound was pretty sharp, while the rear rebound felt quite slow. Now how this affects the scooter in the real world on bumps and potholes is something we'll have to see when we get the S1 Air for a proper road test.
But the biggest change of course of the lot is this. That's a hub motor. While the S1 Pro gets a mid-drive motor and a belt drive, the S1 Air is driven by a hub motor that's quite a lot less powerful than the S1 Pro. It makes about 2.7 kilowatts of nominal power and about 4.5 kilowatts of peak power, which means top speed are around 90 kph, but Ola claims that the S1 Air can do 0 to 40 in 3.3 seconds, which is still pretty quick.
The S1 Air comes with only 3 riding modes: Eco, Normal and Sport. Unlike the Pro, this doesn't get the Hyper mode, which honestly is fine because Sport mode does feel quite peppy and should be quite quick for most things. Normal mode works well too and would be our go-to mode for city riding. Eco though, well, just like on the S1 Pro, feels really slow and almost unusable under load. It might just about work if you're hypermiling and trying to extract the maximum range. The one issue we found on the S1 Air was the throttle calibration. Rolling on the throttle felt a bit jerky, especially in sport mode. To top that off, regen braking, even in medium setting, feels a bit too aggressive. And the negative throttle to engage regen braking feels a little too soft. So you can very easily engage the overly strong regen braking when you simply just want to roll off the throttle. But the throttle had one even larger issue.
Now Ola says that these S1 Airs that we are riding are pre-production models and there are some issues that still have to be worked out. But the biggest issue we found, which was quite scary, was the throttle. The calibration is off, but more than that, when you go off the throttle, it still keeps going and that feels quite dangerous. Yeah, really scary. Now to really keep costs in check, Ola has given the S1 Air a smaller battery pack of just 2.98 kilowatt hours. But the best part is that this battery pack is now smaller and lighter, which also gives the S1 Air a flatter floorboard. Now it's not a very big floorboard mind you, but it's big enough to carry a backpack very easily.
Having a flat floorboard is also great because on the S1 Air, the underseat storage has gone down by 2 liters. Still, it's a pretty huge boot.
Of course, a smaller battery pack means a lesser range, and Ola claims an IDC range of 125 km for the S1 Air as compared to 181 for the S1 Pro. But as we found out in the long-term testing, that number is a little bit on the higher side. What you might get in real life is close to 100 kph, and that's pretty alright.
The biggest benefit of the smaller battery pack and the reworked chassis is a lighter Kerb weight, a full 13 kilos lighter than the S1 Pro, and this really makes the S1 Air feel light on its feet when changing directions. While we didn't get to test this, we believe the S1 Air will be a breeze in city traffic. The best part about the S1 Air is that it gets almost the exact same features as the S1 Pro. Sure, the S1 Air's 7-inch touchscreen is a bit lower res compared to the Pro, but that's something you simply won't notice in everyday use. As for features, here's a list of all the features that the S1 Air comes with.
At rupees 30,000 less than the S1 Pro, the S1 Air does make a good case for itself. But there are some issues that Ola has to work out before we can recommend one. Firstly, of course, is the throttle, which does feel very scary at times. And secondly, the quality feels a bit inconsistent. Like the panel gaps around are a little bit off, and even the paint quality at closer inspection looks a little bit suspect. But as I mentioned before, Ola has told us that we are adding pre-production S1 Airs, while at the same time the S1 Air is under full production back at the future factory right behind us. So take what Ola says with a pinch of salt. So should we buy an S1 Air right away? Well, if I were you, I'd hold for a little while and see if Ola can work out all the kinks. And when they do, the S1 Air will make quite a lot of sense.